Qatar, rich, magnificent, and powerful Arab country. In fact, although it is small, it is one of the most surprising places in the world. Almost every day they buy the main companies of Turkey or become partners. The money they spend on the world has no limit. Their biggest enemy is Saudi Arabia, but we almost never know them. So let's go on a hot desert tour now. Qatar, a small country that looks at the Busra Gulf on the Arabian Peninsula, has only 2.2 million people. Interestingly, only 300,000 of this population are from Qatar. The remaining millions are migrant workers. The country is governed by an absolute monarchy, and the current emir is Tamim bin Hamad Thani. Ashani, who completed his entire educational life in schools in England, has been the leader of the royal family since 2013. The basis of the law of the country is based on Sharia, but this is just the image. Sharia rules are in the laws, but not in the practice. Advanced tourism and foreign traffic have also been affected by the absence of Sharia rules. For example, do you think drinking is forbidden? Then you are wrong, because you can drink in hotels and at home as you want. For this reason, the center of entertainment life has become hotels. There are luxury clubs and restaurants inside. Local Qataris, high-level immigrants, and tourists from abroad are the socializing points. It is almost impossible for you to meet a local Qatari in the country in social life. As we said, the population of the locals is very few, and they all live in the worlds they have created especially for themselves because they are ultra-rich. However, the most important feature here is that the Qatari Arabs are much different from other Middle Easterners. Each Qatari has a good English and French. Most of them speak English even among themselves. They completed their education in English and American schools abroad. So even though they are Arab, we can easily say that they are half European and have more vision than Middle Eastern societies. In fact, the Qatar state wants to turn itself into a training center for the Middle East. For the local Qataris in the country, there is almost no tax in any field except for electricity, water, natural gas, phone bill, completely free, and hotel-like operations. So, what is the source of this wealth? Is it just oil? No, it is the head of the Arab countries that use the money it earns most reasonably, beyond having one of the world's largest natural gas reserves. They made large investments in large companies all over the world. They are among the most important partners of companies such as Volkswagen and Siemens. You can see the Qatar partnership in thousands of large companies in the world, even if it is small. In short, we can define Qatar as a company country. It is an important point for them in Turkey among the economic activities in the world. But the problem here is this: Qatar does not invest in our country. The one in our country is buying the companies we have established for many years as a country with our own nails. And we don't know how much they are sold because it is no longer explained in our country. For example, if Volkswagen opens a factory in Turkey, it will create and make a profit. Then we see it as support and a success. But instead of establishing factories in our country, they only buy AVMs, our ports and production centers. In fact, it was on the agenda of the press, where they did not even pay for some partnerships. I hope these risky moves will not cause greater economic problems in the long run. Yes, the whole world wants to get something from Qatar's monetary power, but European states seem to take their shares in this box with much more confident steps. Our problem is not the question of why Qatar, but why only Qatar, and why the figures of the sales are not explained. Let's go back to Qatar. In the country that has been linked to England until 1971, the British still have a very strong influence. So if you don't have English, your job in Qatar is hard. The royal family of Qatar was also raised in the English school at this rate. Almost all of their family members have been educated in countries like England. 88% of the country's population is made up of migrant workers from abroad. If you go to Qatar, you will see that most of the companies in the country are American or European. The lower-level workers in the country are mostly from other Muslim countries such as Nepal, the Philippines, Pakistan, FAS, Egypt. Despite all these riches, according to the investigations of the International F Organization, the situation of the workers in the country is at the level of slavery. Workers are severely abused due to being exposed to excessive overwork, hunger, restlessness, and humiliating treatment. Especially, it is emphasized by institutions that house workers have 18 hours a day to work and that many of them have not been allowed to work for even a day. And according to the investigations made by international organizations, 70% of the workers in the country work as slaves, not as a small part. Although the situation has not changed much, although the European pressure has been applied to reform workers' standards. In addition, because 80% of the country's population consists of migrant workers, there are 329 men in the country for 100 women. There is an incredible male majority. Beyond that, Qatar is the country with the highest national income per capita in the world. If you have an average job, you can easily buy the vehicles that you would not even dream of riding in Turkey. Also, one of the 5 safest countries in the world, Singapore, Iceland, Belgium, and Qatar, which is one of the safest places, is so safe because of the fact that the local people are very rich and the low-level migrant workers are kept away from social life. Their involvement in crimes is prevented and their smallest mistakes are quickly sent from the country. If we give an example to the safe environment in the country, we can say ultra-luxury cars that are left in the shopping center's car parks. Isn't it very interesting? Of course, let's also state that the factor is always human and that 100% trust will be impossible. Europe and American tourists are given great importance in the country. Therefore, the country's tourism network was established according to them. Although it is a legal land, there is no obligation for female tourists or foreigners who settle there to close. In fact, there are many beaches around Doha. It is possible to enter the sea from February to October. You can see thousands of people enjoying the sea on the beaches with bikinis and leotards. And unlike other Middle Eastern countries, no one will disturb anyone. According to the 2020 World Global Peace Index report, Qatar is 31st among 163 countries. To compare, unfortunately, our country is 152nd among the countries in the last ranks in this regard, even behind Sudan and North Korea. You can find many things about entertainment in Qatar for 12 months. Nightlife and sea tourism are the first of these. Sport is also very important in life. In fact, the 2022 World Cup will be held in Qatar and the country is investing $170 billion in infrastructure for this. Qatar, the most wetland country of the Arabian Peninsula, is much more green than its neighbors. When you go, you will not only see desert. In the deserts, sports activities made by cars such as goats and walks are many activities. In short, the country has managed to use its values well and has made each one an event. Tennis is one of the sports loved in Qatar. Every year, 5 separate tournaments are held at an international level. However, although there are many events, the local Qatarists spend their important parts of their lives in European countries or in America. The locals are facing a situation of fishing. Whatever it is, Qatar, which is a more equal, more human, and more civilized country than the others in the Arab world, will be a country with much more wealth and humanistic European standards in the next 10 years. But it will not only contribute to their existence, but also to their investments. Of course, if they start to invest instead of just buying. It is important to note that Qatar has become the target of Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries. Saudi Arabia is almost wearing a tough attitude to organize a military operation. And if the balances between Saudi Arabia and Qatar change, Qatar's attitude towards Turkey may also turn quickly. Be careful.